The movie opens with Josh, a novelist, and Nat, a marketing manager, enjoying their whirlwind romance. After attending a wedding where the bride's bouquet lands at their feet, they take it as a sign and decide to get married. Their wedding ceremony is beautiful, though briefly interrupted when the minister has a heavy coughing fit just as he's about to pronounce them husband and wife. After a slight delay, they are finally declared married, sealing the moment with a passionate kiss and cheers from the guests. However, Nat's sister Naomi quietly tells her husband Hugh that she'll give the marriage a year before it falls apart. Now that's an interesting turn. During the reception, the best man, Danny, gives a cringeworthy speech, but the guests eventually raise a toast. Josh also dedicates a speech to Nat, believing she enjoys being the center of attention, though, according to Naomi, she actually hates it. Josh and Nat have only known each other for 7 months, but he's certain she's the one. They share a passionate kiss, then sway together on the dance floor. Nat, relieved, admits she feared he had planned a special dance. Before she can even finish, the music suddenly shifts, leaving her stunned as Josh launches into exactly that, a special dance, leaving her stunned and embarrassed. After releasing Floating Lanterns, Josh's parents, Brian and Elaine, quietly offer advice to the newlyweds. If they survive the first year, nothing can break them. That was 9 months ago. Now Josh and Nat sit in marriage counseling with Linda, a really distracted therapist. They both admit that something in their marriage hasn't quite clicked, and the story of the past 9 months begins to unfold. Nat arrives at the office with her co-workers, Helen and Claire, trying to discuss their new client, Guy Harap. Josh calls just then, and Nat mistakenly answers on speaker, only to panic when he starts spewing naughty words. Embarrassed, she quickly switches the call as he admits to struggling with writer's block and asks for her help. Later, Nat meets Josh for a meeting with their solicitor, Alan, where they awkwardly go over last wishes and medical crises. After the depressing session, they host a small dinner party, mostly to use their wedding gifts. When their honeymoon comes up, they share contrasting views, but the real tension begins when Danny, ever the loudmouth, reveals that Josh and his ex, Chloe, never officially broke up. Chloe simply left for Africa and stayed for 4 years. Nat is unsettled by the revelation, having never been told about it, though Josh insists he already mentioned it. While clearing the kitchen, Chloe apologizes for the awkward situation, assuring Nat it was a long time ago. Naomi comes in just then and begins venting about her frustrations with Hugh's annoying habits, warning Chloe never to get married. As for Nat, it's too late since she's already tied the knot. The next day, Nat, Helen, and Claire jokingly stereotype Guy, assuming that, as an American, he'll find the British quaint, unaware that he's sitting nearby, overhearing everything. Meanwhile, at the publishing company, Chloe and Josh discuss his book. He suggests grabbing dinner since Nat will be working late, but Chloe already has plans with Charlie, a co-worker. Josh feels a twinge of jealousy, but dismisses it as simply looking out for Chloe so she doesn't get hurt. Back at the office, just before the meeting, Claire hurriedly removes Nat's ring, insisting they need to secure the account with Guy. When he arrives, he plays into the brash American stereotype they assumed, only to switch to his real self, leaving the women embarrassed. After the meeting, Nat apologizes for stereotyping him and assures Guy there are better proposals to review. He disagrees, suggesting they get to know each other first. Though Nat tries to mention her recent marriage, Claire's firm nod and her missing ring prompt her to divert, saying she needs to focus on other accounts for a few days instead. At the counseling office, Nat and Josh continue sharing their thoughts on marriage until Linda steps away to take a call. At home, their personalities clash. Even their opinions on what qualifies as a full trash bin differ. Nat is surprised when she receives a huge bouquet of roses from Guy. While she is organized, Josh is the opposite. He also gets frustrated when she sings the wrong lyrics to a famous song on their way to a costume party, but Nat doesn't see the big deal. Back in the present, curses and profanities erupt from Linda, who is clearly frustrated and angry over the phone. It seems the marriage counselor might need counseling herself. Guy takes Nat to visit the Harap factory, where Janet, his longest-serving employee, immediately takes a liking to her. She even suggests Nat would be perfect for Guy, leaving Nat smiling awkwardly. As Guy gives Nat a tour, she notices how happy everyone seems at the factory. He shares that the workers are like family. He's been around the business since he was 2. His father taught him that treating people well earns their kindness in return, a lesson he hopes to pass on to his own children someday. This touches Nat deeply. Back home, Nat tries to discourage Josh from attending a work party, insisting he'll be bored, but he's determined to go. At the party, she urges him to mingle instead of standing by a particular poster, but he refuses. She soon realizes he's waiting there just to make the same joke to anyone who passes by. Frustrated, she walks out. Meanwhile, Chloe and Charlie are out to dinner, but the atmosphere seems really boring, making Chloe uncomfortable. Back at the party, Guy approaches Nat, surprising her enough that she discreetly removes her ring. She steers the conversation toward work, but Guy isn't interested. He compliments her instead, making her smile. Just then, they spot Josh downstairs, enthusiastically dancing. Mortified, Nat doesn't reveal that he's her husband. When Josh joins them, his usual goofiness leads to him crashing into people's drinks, making Nat even more uncomfortable. He tries to get her to dance, but Guy steps in, encouraging Josh to continue on his own, unaware he's saving Nat from her own husband. After Josh leaves, Guy suggests they go out for some fun, but Nat politely declines and rushes off. She tries to get Josh to leave, but he refuses, leading her to snap in frustration before storming out. Chloe and Charlie take their date back to his place, but things take a weird turn when their co-worker Alexandria joins in, turning it into a threesome. Overwhelmed, Chloe eventually leaves, realizing it's too much for her, and Charlie doesn't even notice her absence. Definitely a disastrous date. The next morning, Nat is still furious with Josh, who crashed on the couch and leaves without speaking to him. Moments later, Josh gets a call from Chloe, asking to talk, which concerns him. He heads to her apartment with snacks, where she tearfully recounts her awful night with Charlie. Josh comforts her, and she admits she wants someone who will truly care for her. He reassures her that he's there for her. Chloe points out that Josh already has someone to take care of, leaving him speechless. She assures him she's fine and urges him to go about his day. But Josh, with little to do, admits he's struggling to find a Christmas gift for Nat, since he doesn't really know what she likes. Chloe offers to help and heads in to change, thanking him for being there. At Guy's hotel lobby, Nat tries to discuss the account, but he subtly suggests going to his room instead. She declines, so he proposes the boardroom he booked for their meeting. Meanwhile, Chloe and Josh browse a lingerie shop, trying to pick something for Nat. Back in the boardroom, as Nat begins her presentation, Guy reveals a dish of oysters and 2 live doves. A violinist enters just then, playing softly. Stunned, Nat realizes Guy is making a romantic gesture, and he begins confessing his feelings for her. Unable to keep hiding the truth, Nat blurts out that she's married, leaving Guy confused and surprised. She admits she kept it from him to secure the account, but got too caught up in their flirtation. With doves flying around, keeping her on edge, and the violinist still playing, Guy remains undeterred. He insists their connection is too strong to ignore. Nat acknowledges she can't just walk away from her relationship with Josh because he's her safe space. But even as a dove poops on her, Guy refuses to back down. He tells her he wants her regardless of her marriage. The moment grows intense, and they lean in for a kiss until the violinist, now chasing the doves, interrupts them. This jolts Nat back to reality. She quickly apologizes and rushes out of the chaotic room. Back at the lingerie shop, Josh is stunned when he sees Chloe in a revealing set. The moment quickly turns heated, leading to a passionate kiss. They snap back to reality just as fast, awkwardly apologizing to each other. Meanwhile, Guy chases after Nat, apologizing but still declaring his feelings. Just then, they run into Josh, who is also apologizing to Chloe. Guy is shocked to learn that Josh is Nat's husband. Introductions are made, making the encounter more awkward. In an attempt to lighten the mood, Josh jokingly tries to set up Guy and Chloe. Guy, trying to ease the tension, suggests they all go on a double date instead. Josh agrees, and they part ways. At their counseling session, Nat and Josh recount their Christmas together, especially an awkward game of charades with Nat's family. The highlight? Josh embarrassed both of them by thrusting his arms at the women's groins. Josh is forced to sleep in the children's room, a deliberate move by Nat's stepfather, Alec. Things get worse when he and Nat overhear Brian and Elaine's passionate night, leaving Nat frustrated. During gift exchanges, Nat receives a digital photo album from her mother, Diana, while Josh gets 2 books on how to stop wasting his life, an unsubtle hint that Diana and Alec see him as a failure. The real disaster strikes when Josh notices intimate photos of him and Nat displayed on the digital album. Panicked, he tries to cover it up, but Nat, already annoyed by his antics, takes over and starts narrating their honeymoon pictures to Brian and Diana. Unfortunately, the explicit slides soon appear, leaving everyone stunned and embarrassed. No wonder Diana and Alec dislike Josh. Before leaving, Nat questions Naomi about enduring her miserable marriage with Hugh. Well, Naomi has embraced the hatred, and she highlights that it's what marriage is all about. The double date with Guy and Chloe turns out to be awkward. While playing pool, Nat grows jealous of Chloe and Guy, making her overcompensate with Josh, who does the same in return. Afterward, as they head out, Guy offers to wait with Chloe for a cab, but a jealous Nat quickly excuses him for a work meeting in order to spend time with him. Josh, in turn, stays with Chloe and gives Nat a peck before she leaves. Walking alone with Guy, Nat finally gives in to her feelings, pushing him against the wall for a passionate kiss. Their desire flares instantly, and Guy takes things further, tearing off her underwear right then and there. Meanwhile, Josh subtly tries to discredit Guy to Chloe, leaving her confused about his intentions. She confesses she's still in love with Josh, urging him to figure out what he truly wants. Overwhelmed, she questions why he never fought for her. Seeing him is difficult, making her suggest they stop seeing each other because she can't handle the fact that he's married to someone else. With that, she gets into the cab, leaving Josh feeling torn. Nat arrives home and suggests that she and Josh have a conversation. She admits the marriage isn't working and Josh agrees. Instead of walking away, they decide to seek help, leading them to the present counseling session. Linda bluntly tells them to go their separate ways before things get worse, like her own marriage, obviously, leaving them confused. However, she eventually advises them to focus on making it to their first anniversary, since they're intent on making it work. Over the next 3 months, Nat and Josh tolerate each other's quirks, and finally reach their first anniversary. To celebrate, Nat puts on the lingerie Josh got her, but they quickly realize the hook is broken. This is clearly from her past engagement with Guy. While waiting for Nat to change, Josh has a revelation and tells her he'll meet her at the restaurant before quickly rushing off. He drives with urgency to Chloe's apartment, but is terribly disappointed when he sees Chloe warmly embracing Guy before they drive off for a trip together. Meanwhile, Nat is at home, contemplating calling Guy, unable to ignore her lingering feelings for him. She eventually arrives at the restaurant, only to find a surprise dinner organized by her family and friends. Josh refuses to give up and gets some details from Chloe's neighbor before setting off again. At the dinner, Nat realizes that everyone believed her marriage wouldn't last a year since she and Josh were never truly compatible, leaving her surprised. She tries calling Josh, who is already late, but he doesn't pick up. Moments later, he finally arrives, drenched, and tells Nat how amazing she is. Everyone finds this heartwarming, but the mood shifts when Josh reveals that while Nat is the perfect wife, she's just not the perfect wife for him. He asks for a divorce right then and there, making Nat the happiest woman in the world as she gleefully agrees. They're both amazed that they've been feeling the same misery for months, but are finally relieved and excited that it's over. Josh tells her he has something important to do, and she happily urges him to go, making him rush off to catch Chloe. Nat also races off to find Guy, leaving everyone dumbfounded by the dramatic turn of events. Guess that's the happiest separation in history. Meanwhile, Josh catches up with Chloe and Guy, just as they're heading for their train, and begins professing his love for Chloe. Josh reveals he's split up with Nat, leaving Chloe and Guy surprised. Just then, Nat arrives, and Josh mistakenly thinks she's there to ask for a second chance. Nat quickly clarifies that she's actually there for Guy, making the moment a bit awkward. Josh believes Nat and Guy are perfect for each other, while Nat feels the same about Chloe and Josh. Seeing her lack of chemistry with Guy, Chloe chooses Josh instead, and Guy gladly agrees, since he has feelings for Nat. As they all move toward their rightful partners at the same time, they hilariously collide. After a quick adjustment, they end up in their lovers' arms, kissing passionately. Realizing how awkward it is to be kissing side by side, they separate for privacy, and each pair begins kissing passionately,